Hey guys, how's it going? Tennessee Frank here. As you can see, I have some different video clips here, and I have installed some different Ubuntu distributions in VirtualBox, and I've opened them up and ran them, and we've taken just a real quick look. I didn't really get in depth with anything. Didn't really, go into a lot of detail on stuff, but it's just kind of a quick look to show you guys a little bit, different features, different looks, different styles of desktops that you can run and still be running Ubuntu. Your base distribution is going to be Ubuntu, and you're running a different desktop environment. Like here, the last one we'll look at will be the stock KDE environment. But you see how I have mine set up here, how I've got it themed. I've installed different software, got it dialed in. So you can do a lot with all these different distributions. And there's enough there, you could pretty much find anything that you're interested in, I think. I think there's a desktop environment that'll suit pretty much anyone's needs. Like I said, for me, my sweet spot right now has been KDE. I'm really loving the KDE Plasma 5 experience. I used to run XFCE. I liked it because it was lightweight. I could set it up the way I wanted it. It ran really well. But they've done a lot of work on KDE, so that's the one I moved to, and I really love it. I've tried some of the others with more or less success or not success, depending on what I was looking to do. But right now, this is my sweet spot. But we'll go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and compile all these clips, and we're going to make a video. We'll get Kdenlive fired up, and we'll be talking to you later. And then have a good one, guys. All right, the first one we're going to take a look at is what I would probably term Ubuntu proper. It's basically Ubuntu with its new GNOME desktop environment, and they moved from the Unity desktop environment, which looked quite similar to this, over to GNOME 3. And I guess they just did it mainly for simplicity. But this is what we're getting. You have your date and calendar. Over here you have a drop down to control volume, wired connections, and what have you. You can get to your settings from here. Go ahead and open that up. So here you see all your settings and everything. Different backgrounds. If you don't like the background you have, there's several different backgrounds that they provide right out of the box. So normally you can find something that might look a little better. That one kind of looks cool. Just go ahead and select that, and all your information, all your tweaks and everything are right in here. And so you see we change our background. They do have kind of like standard GNOME 3. They put the panel along this side. They do give an activities bar where you can look for stuff and you can type things in. Let's type GNOME and see what we got. Yeah, settings. They don't really have a lot right there. You can also pull up all your installed applications by clicking this down here at the bottom lower left corner. You can see they got gparted installed. Here's your disk usage, calculator, files, which is basically your home folder. They do have Firefox by default. A couple little games, solitaire. They still got the Amazon in there. The Ubuntu and Amazon kind of, I guess, have a little relationship going on. Mines, Mahjong, yeah, they got some more games. Shotwell, which that's nice, they have that installed by default. System Monitor, we can check that out. Go ahead and pull that up. Let's just get a rough idea how much resources we're using. I gave this VirtualBox image 2 gigs of RAM. You can see we're using 1.3 gigs of RAM. And I'm doing my screen recording in my KDE desktop. So it should not affect what we're using here as far as the amount of RAM we're using. So yeah, 1.3 GNOME has never been the lightest desktop environment. That's probably one of the main reasons that I don't really use it. It's a little bit heavier than I like. CPU, yeah, there's some processes running in the background right now, so it's a little higher than normal too. We'll check this out with some other distros. But you can add folders to the desktop, which is kind of nice. They finally got that fixed. I know in earlier versions of Unity, you couldn't do that. So we'll move that to trash. You open your file system here. This is where you get into your trash and all that. Of course, you can adjust size of your icon here. Here's the trash. Go ahead and empty it. You got videos, pictures, music, downloads, all your basic stuff. I mean, these are just basic things that come with any distro you install. These are kind of all your default folders that you're going to get. And you can adjust things, here. Yeah, that's GNOME 3. It's not my preferred desktop. I've run it. Like I said, it's kind of heavy on resources. Some people like it though. So we've kind of taken a real quick little look at GNOME 3. And we'll move on to our next desktop. The next one we're going to take a look at is Ubuntu, which it's XFCE desktop. And XFCE is quite a bit lighter weight than some of the other desktop environments. You can see here you can get into your settings here just from the desktop. If you want to change your wallpaper, find something that you kind of like. That's kind of pretty. They have some nice wallpapers with XFCE as well. There's a real pretty one there. Sunset. That's kind of cool. Like I said, it is lighter weight. You do have your controls, upper right. You can move your panel around. You don't have to have it in top. You can move to the bottom. Of course, you got your calendar, your time settings, and everything. They do have icons here on the desktop. And you can go to desktop settings and icons. And you can change that. See, I can get rid of file system, trash, home, whatever I need to. Or if you want to leave your home folder and trash there, not a problem. I mean, very, very customizable. It is a little bit dated. XFCE's been around for quite a while, so it does look a little older. Of course, here's your menu. And you can set your menu up a couple different ways. Here's the way they have it set now with the main titles to your applications on the right. You can go into that, right-click that, hit Properties, go to Behavior, switch categories by hovering, position next to panel, close, and you can see now they're on the inside and they change as I hover, which that's the way I would set it up. That's how I normally would prefer it. You can go into System. We can pull open our Task Manager. Let's expand this just a little bit if I can catch it. There we go. And you can see here how many processes and stuff we have going on. Let's go ahead. Let's show memory usage in bytes. And we're using 426 megabytes. So you can see it is quite a bit lighter weight than GNOME 3. Fairly customizable. Like I said, it is a bit dated, so it doesn't look as modern as some of the others. But if you're looking for something lightweight to put on older hardware, you may be real happy with XFCE. I ran XFCE for a number of years, and I liked it until they started really improving KDE. But it's a real quick look around here. You see a lot of the stuff that they have by default here. You can install different drivers, calculators, Firefox, which is awesome. That's the browser of choice for me. LibreOffice is installed. They have quite a bit of stuff in here. So if you're looking for a lightweight desktop, this may be a good way to go. Just check out your XFCE or Xubuntu, Xubuntu, and the X is pronounced as an S, so that's why you call it Xubuntu. And we'll go ahead. We'll move to another desktop now and take a real quick look. Now we're going to take a look at Ubuntu Mate. And this is a pretty good spin. I ran this one for a while. Of course, I changed it up. I got rid of the bottom panel, moved the top panel down to the bottom, and added a dock and did some other things. When you fire up Ubuntu Mate, you're getting this welcome screen, which is kind of nice. It'll let you kind of go through your introductions, features. I mean, it's really interesting the way they do that. Of course, like most of these, you change the desktop background by doing a right click, and this will pull up your backgrounds, and that's kind of a cool one there. We'll put that one up for now. They do have your home on the desktop by default, and then your trash is down here in the lower right hand corner. You can change all that around though, and then of course if you do open something and you shrink it down, it's down here on this bottom panel if you want to find it. As far as applications go, here's your application menu, and it's just you know, basic things. Go to all here, we can look and see what they have. Appearance, you know, you can change your appearance. It's like with any Linux distro, they're just so customizable. It doesn't really matter which one you get. Most of them you can do quite a bit too. You can do a lot of different customizations. You see here we have our LibreOffice suite installed by default. That's kind of nice. Let's check out our settings monitor here and see what we get. Yeah, and this one's running a little heavier than normal too. Like on the GNOME, we were 1.3 on GNOME. GNOME normally runs around 7 to 9. This guy's running 894 megabits. That's kind of high. Normally your Mate desktops will be running around 5.5. They're not going to be that heavy. Of course, the CPU usage is not that bad. We can look and see what kind of processes we have going on here. And here's our system. This will tell us what we have. And it's running the 4.18 kernel, which is good. It's a little bit newer kernel. And although they are up into 420 and 5 and 5.0. But yeah, this is a pretty good distro if you want something that's you know, usable with a lot of good software already installed. Of course, here's our welcome again. We can open it back up and look at it. Let's let it load. And, you know, you can get involved in projects. You can shop for things, t-shirts, hats, donate. You can install it from here. You don't have to go here and install. They do have a chat room. They have their community forums. But all in all, it's not a bad looking desktop. A little bit lighter than GNOME. Should be a lot lighter than it's saying it is. And yeah, Ubuntu Mate, it's reasonable. I mean, you know, you still got your calendar up here. You have all your information. So if you're looking for something kind of as a middleweight desktop, you know, you can pull this in. Like I said, here's your home folder. All the general stuff. They do have Snap support now, which all of Ubuntu does. It's just they actually have something here that is Snap packages, which is kind of cool. That's kind of an up-and-coming thing in Linux, is your Snap packages. So this is just a real quick look to show you a different looking desktop. I mean, you know, you have it, looks a little different. Got all your preferences and stuff. But this is it's still Ubuntu. It's just, it's a different desktop. You know, you have like 4 different desktops you can go to. But yeah, real quick look at that. So we'll go ahead and we'll move to another desktop and take a look at it. Now we're going to take a look at a Ubuntu spin that uses the Budgie Desktop. And Budgie was kind of the brainchild of the Solus project. Solus is off on its own. It's not really based on anything. It was a brand new fresh spin of Linux. And they came up with a Budgie Desktop, which we see here. This version that Ubuntu is running is giving you a little panel on the side here. And you can go ahead and pull this open. This should show us our software center. We can see what all we have. Just let's take a quick look at the software center. We've not really done that in any of the others. But you see how this works. You don't have to use terminal in Linux. Most of these will have a software center you can open where you can find things. If you need games, if you need audio, video stuff, graphics, photography, productivity. I mean, this is just some of the stuff here that they're loading. See, there's Firefox, Brave browser, which I'm actually using Brave browser on my Android phone. There's like book readers, you name it. You can find about any kind of software that you want. I mean, we can go in here to graphics and photography. Here you got Blender, Inkscape, GIMP, which is a GNU image manipulation program, similar to Photoshop. Gwenview, Krita, which is real good. All kinds of stuff. Anything you want to do. Now the cool thing about Budgie, you do have a panel here. So you can open that. Here's all your settings, like to shut down if you want to shut down, volume, notifications. You know, everything's like right here in this upper panel. Here's all your notifications and stuff. And then you do have a menu available over here to look for what's installed. They got a few games. Internet, you're running Chromium. They're running Chromium on this one. So if you want Firefox, you'll have to install it. Although they do have transmission, which is awesome. You got your full LibreOffice suite. System tools. We can go ahead. Let's see where we got our manager here to see what we're using. Do we have anything at all? Power statistics. Where would we find that here? I'm not seeing. Let's look at power statistics. Well, no, that's not going to tell us anything. What I'm looking for is to see what we have as far as some kind of a manager to see disk usage. No, that's not quite it. Let me see. It's a GNOME based system. They should have something so we can see how much RAM we're using to run this desktop. It's just a question of finding it. I'm not real familiar with Budgie, as you can probably tell by now. It's not one of the ones I use a lot. Here we go, system monitor. I knew they had to have something in there. Resources, 1.2 gig, which doesn't surprise me since a lot of Budgie is based on GNOME 3. And GNOME 3, remember we were running 1.3 gig. So this is real close. In actual hardware when it's installed, you'll probably be 7 or 8, maybe 900 megabytes. So you won't be, you know, over your gig here like you are. But yeah, it's a pretty desktop environment. The way they have it set up here, you can actually do stuff on the desktop. I did look at one version of this and I couldn't do anything on the desktop, so I didn't bother installing it and giving it a try. This version here, you can, you know, add files and folders to the desktop. We can move that to trash. Let's open our home folder here. You see there's all your basic files, you know, documents, downloads, and everything. Here's trash. We'll go ahead and empty that. But yeah, this is just yet another desktop environment. Here's a little, looks like a little conky setup that they have going on to give you your time and stuff. I wonder if we can get in and do preferences on that. I don't really see a way to do it from here. I'm sure there's a way you can change it to, you know, AM, PM time over military. But yeah, this is the Budgie desktop. You know, it's another desktop, similar to GNOME in certain ways, similar to some of your other desktops, but it's very much different also. So we'll go ahead, we'll move on and check some other desktops out here too. So let me click this real quick before we leave. I just want to see what this does. It's got a little Ubuntu icon. Okay, okay, that's Chrome. We're going to cancel. We're going to go ahead. We'll get out of here. So we'll go ahead and close that. Yeah, it's got the Chromium web browser, which a lot of people like that. I'm more of a Firefox user. So we'll go ahead and shut this down. We'll move to another desktop. Check it out. Now we're going to take a look at Lubuntu, which formerly was an LXDE desktop. They have since moved to LXQT, which uses the Qt package management system or toolkit instead of the GTK3 toolkit or GNOME toolkit. So yeah, moving from the GNOME toolkit over to Qt, they use a lot of stuff that your KDE would use. You can even see here preferences. Here's your settings and everything. Tools. Let's look at HTOP real quick. And you can see this guy is running 357 meg to run the desktop. LXDE and now LXQT, the new version, is very, very lightweight. If you have older hardware, limited RAM, and want to run something on that, this would probably be a good way to go. One of my only gripes with this is setting the clock, and you gotta know how to figure out. Let's see. Let's go in here. Configure clock. Okay, they've improved it. LXDE used to be a royal pain to set up. Here you just use 12-hour format. There we go. We can go ahead and let's see if short format close. Yeah, it didn't do it. Let's try it again. Configure clock. We want to use custom 12-hour close. Now there we go. Now it's not military time down here. If you can see it, I don't know if you can see it or not. But yeah, now it's AM PM time. They do have some of your settings down here, volume, what have you. But you know, different desktops if you want to change your desktops here. Which that's something Linux has always had. Of course, here's your file manager. And again, your basic everyday files that they put into them. See if we can go to change our desktop here. Yeah, desktop preferences. So if you wanted to change some stuff here as far as wallpaper, you would have to browse, and I'm not sure where they have it because, like I said, I really don't use LXQT. It's not one of my main distros that I use. But kind of like with KDE, they got your apply button when you want to change something. And we can see all the stuff that we have installed. I mean, you take a screenshot. Again, they got full LibreOffice suite. System tools, K3B for burning disks, you know, just all kinds of stuff. They are running the Discover Software Center, which again, that's a throwback over to KDE because they're using the Qt toolkit. They're able to run Discover Software Center, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they're not running the Dolphin file browser. Yeah, Dolphin. So yeah, it's very, very close to. Well, let's see. I clicked mine. Let me click here. Let's see. Help. About. Lightweight file manager. Yeah, it's not really telling me. But yeah, you do have your Discover Software Center. So with the LXQT, you're getting a lot of the KDE stuff available to you now, and it's running pretty good. Which sometimes KDE packages don't run as well under GTK. But with this, you can see it's a fairly decent system, lightweight. Just, yet another version here that you can run. If you want something really lightweight, check out Lubuntu. Easy to install. And we'll go ahead and shut this down, and we'll move to another distro. Okay, now we're going to take a look at Kubuntu. This is my distro of choice. It's the one that I run on my machines. KDE has come a long, long way over the last few years. There was a time when I really didn't care for it, but you can see it's real easy to get around on. You can change your desktop backgrounds easily. Go ahead and we'll put that one on. I think it looks a little nicer for our demonstration. Here's the menu you get out of the box. You got your favorites. You can move into different applications, which for me, this menu is kind of, it's tough for me to get around on this menu. But luckily, you can right click. There's alternatives. You can go to like your basic application menu, kind of like we saw in with the XFCE or LXQT desktop, where you just have your basic menus. And this is more Windows-like, I think. It makes it a lot easier for people to get around on. We can go ahead and we can pull up some systems info here. Let's open this up and take a look. And let's see, let's see, settings. Well, where the heck did it go? System load, there we are. I knew it was there somewhere. You can see right here, we're running 440 gig to run this desktop. So it is right in there, not too much heavier than LXQT. Very, very similar to XFCE or Mate. Actually lighter, if you really want to get down to it. And you have a really beautiful desktop. Aside from this menu, which is a more traditional, you can also come in here and you can do the application dashboard. This is my preferred way of looking at stuff. This actually pulls up a dashboard where you can see everything. And this is very reminiscent to some of the ways that GNOME does it. If you ever noticed how when we looked at all the applications in GNOME. But I really love the dashboard. It's easy to get to stuff from here. If you want to see what you got in Office. They're even installing LibreOffice out of the box now, which they weren't doing that before. Of course, you have all your system utilities and stuff. Multimedia, K3B, which is a good disk burning utility. Graphics, you got your graphics. All kinds of information. And then you do have your panel over here that keeps an eye on all your notifications. That shows your connection. Of course, this shows we do have a USB stick plugged in. You can change your clock settings, which I like to go in here. I'll tick off 24-hour because I like to have it where I can see the AM and PM. Apply. Now we got our AM and PM, and we have a date, and then here's our calendar. But yeah, you can easily adjust your panel settings. You get this. You can adjust this, make it a little bigger, a little bit smaller. If you want it larger, smaller. And then you go ahead and click panel settings again. But this is my preferred desktop. I really like the KDE experience now. It's lighter weight than it used to be. It's very easy to configure. Let's say I didn't like any of the wallpapers that were in here. Just a matter of going, get new wallpaper. Let it pull stuff in. Takes it just a second. It'll go out onto the interwebs, pull a bunch of stuff in. Let's say I like that. You hit install. Go ahead, give it a second to install. and doesn't take too long generally. And now there's our new wallpaper. You hit it, apply, and there you go. I mean, it's that simple. It includes different desktop environments, which, let's go into our settings. I'll show you what I'm talking about there. Of course, settings, I always like to move into configure. I like to see the icons, makes it easier. Workplace themes, Breeze Dark, and Kubuntu. I always like the modern theme. Desktop behavior, you got that. You can do different effects, your screen edges. I mean, it's so easy to get stuff here. Application style, you got your different window decorations. You can always get more. Just click Get New Decorations. But I mean, basically, any way you want to theme this or tweak it or adjust it, you're free to do it. Just go get more information if you need it and find what you like. So, yeah, this is just kind of a real quick look here at KDE. You know, it's a decent distro. I really am loving this one. I did run KDE GNOME for a while. My only issue with KDE GNOME was the kernel. They were running like 4.15. Here we're at least getting 4.18. We're getting a newer kernel with newer functionality. So we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Go ahead, this will be our last desktop we looked at. There is an Ubuntu Kylin, which is designed for Chinese users, which probably has a ton of spyware on it, truth be known. And you do have Ubuntu Studio, which I believe is using XFCE desktop, memory serves. And it is loaded with just about anything and everything you need for audio, video editing, recording, you name it. I mean, it's pretty much got it. So if you need something to do a lot of work as far as like studio stuff, check out Ubuntu Studio as well. But this will wrap it up for our little tour of Ubuntu desktops. So like I always say, either we stand up for our rights or we sit by and watch them go away. Y'all have an awesome day. We'll talk to you later. Tennessee Frank out of here.